With the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels.
Welcome to the Command Center Draft Special, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. Get 20% off Commanders tickets this weekend using code COMMAND. That's code COMMAND on the SeatGeek app.
It's Jayden, Adam Peters from the Commanders. How you doing, man? I've just been so impressed with what you've done to get yourself to where you're at right now, man. And there's so many more great things to come. But you put in all the work in the early mornings, the late nights. I just couldn't be more impressed, and I couldn't be more proud to pick you to represent our franchise. So congratulations, man.
Congrats, man. How awesome is this? I've known for a long time about the ball player, but over the last 2 months, I learned about the dude, the dedication. I think the Florida game spoke to your resilience, and that's why you're coming here, man. You're a dog competitor. We're going to kick a lot of ass together.
Congrats, man. Welcome to you and your family, to the DMV. I know we're going to make it happen together. I'm so appreciative that we're going to be doing this. And what a night, and you've earned it, and just celebrate. Can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Turn it in. Let's go.
With the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels, quarterback, LSU.
What a moment between our general manager and our new quarterback. I got a feeling that video will end up being pretty historic when it's all said and done. Now, we are just over an hour away from round 2 out here in Detroit, Michigan, and we're bringing you all the Commanders draft updates. General manager Adam Peters and company made some waves in round 1, drafting LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. We'll see what they do in tonight's rounds. And here's a look at where dreams come true out in Detroit, the stage where Commanders' second overall pick, Jayden Daniels, heard his name called just 24 hours ago. Brian Cole Jr. here, Mr. 8 to the 9 said Tannenbaum, Super Bowl champion Brian Mitchell. And fellas, y'all predicted it. Y'all said it was going to happen. Jayden Daniels was drafted by the Commanders, man. How are you guys feeling, and how do you think he will fit in with us?
Well, it's the second day, the aftermath of the first round, and I'm ecstatic, man. I'm ecstatic just to see what, he can be for us, man. When you watch his college career and see some of the things that you saw when it came to, selecting the kid, it reminded me of RG3 coming in the door. It reminded me of seeing all those highlights and just knowing he was a Heisman Trophy winner and knowing how high he took that LSU team. I'm looking forward to seeing that on this level. And he seemed like a guy that's eager to go out here and improve and show guys that, man, it's not all about the hype. I want to really get in here, get familiar with these guys, but also dive into that playbook so I can be special. So I can't wait.
I woke up this morning and I made a decision that I'm not going to care to give a damn about the social media world. I'm going to listen to the people that really research, really watch film, and really have to make the right decision based off of their lifestyles. Adam Peters and everybody around the Commanders brass and the people that have sat there and dissected everything that this young man has done. They've talked about how great he is on the football field. But what I heard more from this morning when I first got up at 5:35 until now is how great of a person he is.
Yeah.
And I went back and I listened to him talking to you and everybody else. And he talked about being a great teammate.
Yeah.
He talked about leading. He talked about giving this town everything that he has. So when I hear all those things, I can give a damn about the people that want to be contrary, or they want to sit up here and be negative and want to be mad because somebody didn't do what they said, because they're more worried about what they look like to their friends than what actually is going to happen for the football team. So when Adam Peters, and I don't know how much, Adam, I'm not even much trying to talk about your money, brother. But I'm sure you're getting paid a pretty penny. And when you were hired, I heard from people in D.C., like unanimously, that this is the dude that we wanted. This is the most important piece of our puzzle.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you do, I got to go along with it.
Straight up and down.
You think I'm going to listen to some people in the media who never played the game?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to listen to some people who own media who I don't know who they are. They got Major Tutty face on their avatar. And they talking all this trash.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to Adam Peters. He told me that guy was the best. I'm going to go where he's the best. And I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm going to now start focusing on tonight to see how you going to protect it.
Yeah.
What's going to happen. And I'm going to be happy about that. Listen, man, I got to the point in my life where I'm double nickels. I'm going down the road at 55, you can't be worried about too much, right? I can't give a damn about these people around here who always want to have a problem with everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them, look in the mirror and see if you've done everything in your life you wanted to do. If you haven't, listen to Adam Peters and follow.
Amen. And B-Miss, it's funny you mentioned the interviews that Jayden Daniels has done.
Yeah.
We actually are going to have an exclusive interview with Jayden Daniels where he sits in with our guys in the studio. And speaking of our guys in the studio, you talked about those guys that are knowledgeable about the draft. Well, we got some draft experts out in the studio in Ashburn. Fellas, how y'all feeling?
Good. Brad Whiteside, Lonnie Fletcher, Fred Smoot, Logan Paulson. Fred was so excited about Jayden Daniels, he bought the same suit.
Oh, yeah. It's not my fault that Jayden Daniels has class.
I thought this was cracking tubs. Miami Vice people on rechecks.
That's exactly right.
We're going to have plenty of time to talk about Jayden Daniels, but just your initial reaction to the pick last night.
This was the pick that I thought they would make going all the way back to, let's call it February.
Yeah.
Jayden Daniels, when you turn on the film and you watch this guy, he has elite talent, too good to pass up. You saw all the different things. You heard what Dan Quinn and Adam Peters said about him once they were able to do more research on him.
Most definitely. When I think about it, I think about Marcus Mariota, the perfect teacher. He went number 2 in the draft. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. All right, so now you got the guy in place to tell him, this is where it went right or went wrong for me. This is how you can avoid these ups and downs. So I thought that was the perfect thing. So it kind of put in my head all along, I think we're going Jayden Daniels. So I was not more surprised, but the energy I saw in that place last night, I think everybody loved that choice.
Most dynamic of the 3, and that's why I'm ecstatic he's here. Can't wait to see what Cliff does with him.
Yeah, we'll have a full breakdown of the pick, and we'll talk about what didn't happen, which was a trade back into the first round, and what this team is going to do tonight with 5 picks in the second and third round as we send it back to Brian Santana and B. Mitch in Detroit.
Landry.
Great to hear from our guys. And we're going to talk a lot about drafts round 2 and round 3. But before we do that, we have to give Jayden Daniels his just due. Our new quarterback entered the building today. He is out in Ashburn, and he was greeted by General Manager Adam Peters and Head Coach Dan Quinn at the airport. He is so excited to be here in the DMV, and we are happy to have him here.
At the private airport.
At the private airport. My boy living lavishly right in that powder blue suit. Now, Daniels proved to be the best player in college football last season after winning the Heisman Trophy. After a stellar senior year, the dual-threat quarterback got in the zone in the air, putting up over 3,000 yards and 40 passing touchdowns, and also found the end zone 10 different times on the ground. Now, like I said earlier, he hung out with our guys in the studio during his first day in the building. Let's take a listen.
Welcome into Command Center. As you can see, we have the man, the myth,
the legend.
The legend.
The newest commander, man.
The newest commander, Jayden Daniels, number 2 overall pick. Welcome to the DMV, Jayden.
Man, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all having me out here.
I wish you could have been in the place I was yesterday. I just got to bring it up. Well, I was at the draft party, and when his name got called, the fan base exploded. So it's different than knowing that you're going number 2, but knowing that the fan base wants you. How you feel about being a part of the DMV right now and seeing the fans' reaction to us actually calling your name?
Man, it's dope. I seen it last night. I was laying down and catching up on everything, trying to text people back, stuff like that. And I seen the video. I was like, man, it went crazy. Man, that's dope for real, man. That fan base is willing to embrace me like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is awesome when people want you here and everyone wants you here. We're all excited about it. Another thing I think is fascinating about you is your journey and how you've improved over your time. You know, Arizona, LSU, and now kind of all of your hard work is rewarded with being like the second best player in the country. You know what I mean? And obviously winning the Heisman, being the number one player in college football. Like, what was that like? The improvement, the dedication, and then kind of reaching this next step in your career?
Man, it's a blessing to be able to live out a childhood dream of mine. Obviously, I dreamt about this, you know, playing in the NFL, going first round. So now that it's like a surreal moment, you know, be able to come up here. I see all my friends do it, have they hold up the jersey, you know, shake the commission hat, throw the hat on. But man, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to get to work. All the other stuff is done now, and now I could just focus on ball.
We talked to Coach Quinn last night and also Adam Peters, and the talent is obvious. What we see on the field, what they see on the video, and what we asked them about what brought them to picking you as a number 2 pick. And they said once they went through the process and they got to learn about you off the field and all the things, the 5 a.m. workouts, the Oculus and the VR training and all the things, the leadership and all those different things that you bring to the table as a football player and as a leader, where did that come from?
Man, I'll just say that's how my parents raised me. I always work hard. You know, watching my mama work hard, my dad, you know, trying to provide for us and sacrificing their life for me and my sister. So they sacrificed 23 years of their life, you know, to get me to this point, man. So I give all credit to them and just my whole support system, man. Stay grounded, stay humble, and just know nothing is given to you. You got to go earn everything.
Speaking of support group, my classmate that I got drafted in 2001, Antonio Pierce, who you very much know, and he's a part of this Washington family. Could you tell us what he gave to you and how he helped you become who you are right now?
Man, if you know AP, you know he real. He's a real.
Yes, yeah.
He's gonna keep it real all the time, man. And I remember he told me, well, maybe go to ASU, man. He came here and told me, he said, I can't say how he said it, but you know, basically to sum it up, man, he was like, if you believe in yourself and you bet on yourself, man, you come here and handle business, you'll start. And that's all he told me, like, have that mentality, like you the best, man. You always gonna bet on yourself. You're gonna work hard and you're gonna earn this. And you know, just when I was there, man, he gave me the game, you know, about money, about life, about the NFL. So man, that's my dog, and that's my guy to this day.
Yeah, he sugarcoats nothing. I love that about him.
That's awesome. So, you know, Fletch said the thing about 5:30 workouts, and I remember me in college, and it was hard to get up at 5:30.
Yeah.
How did you get those guys up with you? You like are you just boys with everybody, or how did that go?
I'm for sure boys with everybody.
Yeah,
man.
no doubt.
All my guys back at LSU, I love them all to death, man. But I ain't gonna lie, it was hard. Yeah, it was hard. I mean, you got 18 to 21, 22-year-olds, man.
Yeah.
You know, nobody want to give them no 5:30, man. You know, especially you ain't got nothing until 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you ain't want to get up. But that's a credit to them, man. They wanted to be great. So I opened the doors up to everybody. Whoever showed up, you know, showed up. And most of the time they showed up. But the people I really try to pull the most, man, was Malik and Brian.
Yeah.
And, you know, they receivers, so, you know, they don't want to do nothing. They just want to catch football. catch touchdowns, man, and dance.
Guess what? It's gonna get worse in the NFL. But I'll say this though, he got Terry McLaurin, great group of guys.
They're not as high strung as the other guys. I want to know, how did you get into the virtual reality snaps? You know, and I understand everybody say it's good, especially for the mental, because you're not putting a lot of strain on your body. Who brought that to you, and how did that become part of your preparation?
Man, the company Oculus, man, they came to LSU one day. Shout out to Jack Marucci, you know, a legend over at LSU, man. He pulled me in the office like, man, I want you to come try this out, man. These people out here, we trying to get this virtual reality thing going. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stop by. I seen it, you know, it's like a little test run. I was like, oh yeah, it could be something. And they came back. They came back with it, and then I put it on, and I loaded it into the stadium, and the stadium looked real, like you know everything at.
What are you seeing in there?
You seeing the stadium, you seeing the players, everything.
It's the coverages and the fronts, right? But I think, you know, the technology's great.
Yeah.
But I was talking to somebody at the Combine who was trying to sell Oculuses in this program you're talking about. And he said you were putting in 250 to 300 extra reps a week. And so, like, the technology's great, man. But again, I think that's a testament to you and just getting after it, just wanting to get better. You know, that's what I see. And like that takes a lot of motivation. Like, where does that come from?
Man, I just want to. That comes from where I'm from, growing up. I want to be an inspiration, a role model to kids back home in my community. So, I mean, everybody looking at me, man. So, that's just, I want to be one of the greats, man. And, you know I got a far way to go, man. I want to work, come in and work, and, you know, earn the respect of my teammates first. But down the road, man, you know, I'm chasing something, man. I'm chasing greatness for real.
That low-key fires me up, man.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of juiced right now.
You mentioned last night having the opportunity to kind of lay in your bed and you're looking at different things and returning texts. Have you had an opportunity, I know it's been a whirlwind for you, to kind of reflect on your journey to where your name was called last night as the number 2 pick high in the draft, to like reflecting like, man, I've dreamed about this moment since I started playing football, and for it to finally be here. Have you had an opportunity to reflect on that?
Savor the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, man, last night we was in the hotel room. Me, Malik, and Brian, man, we just sitting there like.
That's cool.
Yeah. Man, like we all worked this moment. It was special that all 3 of us was able to be at the draft together and experience that moment together, because, you know, we dreamt of this since we was kids, man. Be able to just talk to them and, you know, talk mess, you know, especially Malik, you know, since we division rivals.
Yes.
You know,
we hate those giants.
We don't like those guys.
For sure. But now it was dope just to talk about that. But I'm pretty sure when I get back to the crib, man, and see the rest of my family, man, it's gonna hit for real.
Well, here's the great thing about it. Malik went to New York, and I think Brian went to Jacksonville. Yeah. But you in the DMV, and right now, you're only second to the president. Right? Like it's the president, then it's the quarterback of the Washington team. So how does that feel to know that you have the DMV in the palm of your hands, and most definitely the bar set high? And like they really gonna expect a lot out of you. How does that feel?
Man, I mean, God put me in this position for a reason. He didn't put me in anything he don't think I can handle. It's gonna come with a lot of work for sure. I mean, I'm not gonna be there right now. I'm not gonna be there game 1, but hopefully down the road, man, it's just the work I put in, and obviously what the front office do with DQ and Adam Peters and all that, man. Hopefully we can turn it into something great.
Man, thank you so much for joining us, brother. It's been really nice meeting you, and we can't wait to see you put that work in, brother. We're really excited.
Welcome to the family, brother.
Commanders family, you have an amazing person in Jayden Daniels joining the Burgundy and Gold. And last night, Detroit was one for the quarterbacks. For the first time in NFL history, 5 quarterbacks were selected in the top 10, and a total of 6 quarterbacks were selected in the first round. Fellas, have y'all seen a draft like that where quarterbacks were just flying off the board so quickly?
I mean, you always hear that, you know, there's 2 or 3 special guys in the draft that play that position, but I don't think it's ever been a year that I've sat here and watched that many quarterbacks being selected that early.
I think the only one I hear about is 83, I think it might have been.
Wow.
That's the
I know I wasn't watching
Montana, and you know, I was around. But I was in high school, junior high school. That's the Montana, I think. No, not Montana. Marino
them.
Elway them. That type of year.
Wow.
I think that year was considered as good as any. But the thing about it, 6 went in the top 10. Will they live up to what those guys did? Because I mean, that's the whole thing where. The position has become so important, and as we sat here in the break and we listened to what Jayden Daniels was talking about, you know, Logan and Fred finds every damn thing. And I love the professor London over there. When you hear them talking about the virtual reality stuff, and the extra 200 and something reps per week, everybody that's sitting up here telling me about, well, this guy has higher upside. You don't know that. That's an assumption. But this guy is damn good this year, and better than he was last year, and better that year than he was the year before. Why? Because he found new things to help him out. I mentioned it last night. I'm going to go to it again. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever. I don't give a damn about you LeBron players. People. Every year got better. Why? Because he knew other people were trying to get better. So if I'm better than you and I stay a step ahead of you, I never have to worry about you. Jayden Daniels seems to have that mindset. And that's what Adam Peters sees. That's what all his coaches told him So when you have that going on, you have to love this kid right now. And I know we always do this here. We sit up and we talk about something tonight, but I'm looking at his internal makeup.
Yeah.
I don't care how fast he is. You could be. I know a lot of dudes that were faster than me early. When we got to the 12th grade, I was smoking them because they didn't want to work out no more. This dude wants to work. So when you get that, and I know people compare him to Rob. I don't want to compare him to Robert. Josh is not going to come up here and give him carte blanche on everything. If he plays great, he might do it. So if we see him getting carte blanche, he played great. Dan gave that to Rob, and Rob wasn't mature enough to handle that, and that's part of his problem.
And Beamish, for all those things you said about Jayden Daniels, that is why the Commanders fans are so excited. But what was cool to me is, like, when you saw him get picked, when you talked to him the minute he got picked, he was excited. He was ecstatic. And we heard all of these rumors about, maybe there's some issues, but clearly there wasn't. Jayden Daniels was happy to be here, and to me, that means a lot. Santana, how does it feel knowing that your quarterback wants to be here and having a guy that's just excited to get to work?
Well, let me first say this. You have no choice. You better be happy or act like you're happy. But no, honestly, man, you can look at the kid, man. I mean, you got to think about it like we say all the time, and Fred alluded to this so much this offseason about when guys get to this moment where they have nothing else to say about you, they're trying to nitpick anything they can say to make it seem like you don't deserve to be selected at that pick or that position or at that moment in the draft. So I think they just was out of things to say good, so they started saying things negatively about every guy. It wasn't just him. All these other draft picks, these high draft picks. You heard things about Caleb. You heard things about, Marvin Harrison Jr. You heard so much about all these top guys because they had nothing else to say because these guys showed you on film who they are. But I think when you look at, the man body with makeup, man, we all coming to this draft. I remember I was being a guy that would say, hey, where you didn't want to go at? I told guys I didn't want to go to New York. But you think I was mad when New York picked me? No, I was ecstatic.
It was too cold.
I mean, it bothered me when I got there. But at the same time, we all have dreams of seeing that childhood team that we grew up favoring or watching, and you want something different, but we really don't know what we want. We want to be selected. We want to be picked. We want to be drafted. And I think that's what he showed. He showed how elated he was to be selected, knowing that all the hard work he put in led up to that day, him having that moment with him and his family, and now he's ready to go to work.
I'll say this. Everybody that works in this industry that we work in, when you make all those comments you make, how about we put our jobs on the line? And I'll find out how many people are going to keep being who they were and how many people are going to change. Because the people that are working for every team that works in the front office and coach the teams, their jobs on the line every time they choose somebody. But we can sit back on this mic, the mic and the camera in front of us and say, that guy sucks. We shouldn't draft him. And if that guy isn't being good, you lose your job. You know how many people shut up? 99.9% of them. Because most people are full of crap. Point blank.
Talking out of side of the neck.
Period. And you talk about all these things that people had to say about Jayden. Well, we asked Jayden, who are you as a quarterback? And the first thing he said was a dog. You see he has that swag. You see he has that energy. Tanner, what does that do when your quarterback has so much swag? What does that do for a locker room?
I mean, honestly, you're going to see all that. And I came from a different era. When I came into the league, it was guys like B. Mitch. When I didn't play with a B. Mitch personally, but the guys of his savvy and his mantra that say, hey, you got to show me. You got to be, I had Mo Lewis. I had those guys like, hey, so they say, you know what I mean? I used to always hear guys say, yeah, he cool, but so they say he a good football player. You know what I mean? We don't care. They're not going to care about how cool he is and how fresh he looks and, how fly he is. They want to see the guy show up on field. And do what he did in college. Lead this team, especially at the position he's at. He has a huge task to come in here and lead this team and show he's professional, show he's going to be able to take criticism, and show that he's going to be able to lead a group of men that's going to be sitting there giving him the rights to lead them. And that's all they go. These guys are going to care about. They don't care less about how smooth he is. But now I tell you this: when he go out there and show that, be cool, have your swagger, do all that, but make sure we go out there and play well first before you go out there and try to stunt. Because I think he has that in him, and I know he's probably going to show that when he gets out there on the field.
I'll give you two quarterbacks. Brett Favre. He and Warren Sapp fought damn near every game they played against each other. But I think when your old linemen see a quarterback going against a D lineman, and other people on the team sees that, they realize if he's doing it, we got to do it. When you look at Tom Brady, the guy that they say was there before everybody, was there after everybody, worked as hard as anybody else. So if Jayden says, I'm a dog, and I'm going to work harder than anybody out there. If he comes into Washington and he does that, all of a sudden everybody falls in line. I remember watching Ovi, and Alex Ovechkin, let's realize this, best athlete in our city ever.
Yeah.
Okay, you might not watch hockey, but he is. But when he was the guy working the hardest on the hockey team, he was the guy that was the best on the hockey team, those guys had to come up and step their games up, or they're going to be way behind. If Jayden Daniels roll in here, and he happens to one game decide, I'm going to run through this dude. And as Adam Peters said, he got up every time.
Yeah.
If he pops up and run back to the huddle, the next time I see a running back run out of bounds, I might jump through the screen and choke him. Yeah. Because when you get that leadership from a quarterback, and I'm talking about what I used to do, I didn't do everything I did for me.
Right.
I did it because I wanted to show the next person you could do it too. I wasn't the biggest dude. Yeah. He's not the biggest dude. But sometimes that thing that in your chest, that's the only muscle that matters.
Yep.
Okay? On the Wizard of Oz, they were looking for a heart, right?
Yeah. The lion.
Okay? A lion. You walk up, you see him, you're scared, but he running from you. But when he got that heart, he changed everything. You got a lion, man. Let him be a lion. But you know what? Teach him how to be a smart lion.
Yeah, of course. And we definitely got a lion. You mentioned heart. I think Jayden Daniels has already won over the hearts of a lot of people, not just Commander fans. Let's look at some tweets from not just around the league, but around the nation. You have celebrities. You have media pundits. You have so many people that are tweeting about Jayden Daniels and their excitement. But most importantly, our Commander minority owner, Magic Johnson,
that's a celebrity.
Said this. That's a real celebrity. You got Magic Johnson on your team.
And
you good
part
money.
Owner. Ooh, Lord.
So this is what Magic Johnson had to say. He said, I'm so thrilled and excited to welcome Jayden Daniels to the Commanders family. I'm looking forward to all the wins we will celebrate this season and years to come with our new leader. I know you'll lead our franchise not only as a quarterback, but also in the locker room and the DMV community. Couldn't have said it better ourselves, Magic Johnson. You know what? I want to hear from our guys back in the studio. So let's send it to them. And Fred look kind of fresh today, don't he?
He look kind of fresh.
Don't let him get ahead.
He still can't cook.
Maybe Jayden's going to bring a little showtime to Washington, D.C. for Magic. So, Fred, you were with the fans last night, right?
Yeah.
Somebody apparently pulled a fire alarm in the park last night.
And they let the roof burn. Right. At the end of the day, man, you can feel it. You can feel the electricity in there. And it got quiet before the storm while we was on the clock and people in anticipation just started to build. Then everybody just exploded. And I'm talking about like 5 straight minutes of just cheering. And I think, you know, when I really talked to the fans last night, I think they're just so excited, not just about Jayden Daniels. They're excited about the new ownership. They're excited about the new head coach. They're excited about the new era that we're going into. And all they talked about last night was that. They talked about each and every one of those things. But I think with Jayden Daniels, he brings a chance for us to be good instantly. Not saying we're going to the playoffs, but good instantly.
I'm glad you brought up the fans and the ownership because last night, Bram, Logan, and myself, we were in the building, and just before the draft, before we even were on the clock, the energy. I ran into a couple of the owners. You can see them. I miss Rail. You know, I miss ran into Adam Peters, you know, and Dan Quinn. You can feel a different energy. And then after the pick was made, we were in here. But you can hear the eruption throughout the entire building. There's a different energy, different excitement, and everybody's excited about obviously adding Jayden Daniels to this football team.
You know, he's an electric athlete. And anybody can see this. The numbers that he posted last year are really kind of otherworldly. He's like one of the first players, like 6 players in the last 25 years to have these metrics of like 40-plus touchdown passes, 10-plus rushing touchdowns, things like that. But I think what's really impressed me, and I think it probably impresses you and this front office, he's very process-oriented. He's got a deep work ethic. Keeps getting better year after year. Go watch him at Arizona State. Go watch him at LSU.
No, I think that's the thing that I probably like differentiated him from the other guys is all that kind of work ethic stuff around him. Getting up at 5 a.m., getting the receivers out of bed, the Oculus training, everyone knows about that. Like, I can't tell you how important that is. I mean, Fletch, you understand, like we do it through walkthrough. That's how we traditionally do it. He's getting 300 extra reps on his own time a week. That's a guy it's important to him. He's competitive. He wants to be better. He understands the process to improve, and that's so special, especially at that quarterback spot.
Well, think about the interview we did with him. When you meet him, and we've all had rookies that come in and they just think they know everything. When you meet Jayden Daniels, you can't help but be impressed with him, the way he carries himself. You know, you can tell he was raised by great parents. Because the humility, he has confidence like he knows, hey, I'm a good football player, but the confidence and the humility, like, I have so much work to do before I can be even a player that I want to be. And that doesn't always happen with the rookie, especially a guy who was drafted that high, has accomplished everything that he's accomplished, but the way he carries himself, I was so impressed with just his demeanor and the way.
I would call it feet on the ground. Like he feet on the ground. He knows how to read a room. He understands that he doesn't know everything. And like you said, I was blown away by it. And then actually, like, they go the humble side of me. Then he was like, Swoop, we played Mississippi State. Just leave it at halftime. So they go that football swagger. So everything is there. But I do love about this. We bringing him into this organization, but we not saying here, be our savior. We say here, be a part of what makes us great.
You know, there's so many times in years past when I was covering the team, and I'd walk up to guys like you and I'd go, how are you going to stop this other team's quarterback? This is the first time in a while that we have someone that I think the other team is going to have to deal with, and the other teams are going to have to answer questions about how are you going to control Jayden Daniels?
I can remember the first time we played Cam Newton, his rookie year, and when you're going against a guy like that, you're hypnotized, mesmerized when you have that ability. You know, he breaks, talking about taking the soul of the defense like he did against Mississippi State. But it puts so much pressure on you defensively. You're up as a defense coordinator. What do I call on third downs? You're going to see a lot of maybe three-man rushes, or just we're going to have somebody spying and stuff like that. That's going to create one-on-one matchups or favorable matchups on the outside because you're so fearful of what he can do with it when he's running the ball.
Skill set. When you got a quarterback like that, his skill set dictates everything we do on defense. Everything we do on defense, because at the end of the day, we have to play zone on a running quarterback. We can't play man-to-man. Most of our defensive coordinators don't want us as defensive backs to turn our back to this guy. So now he makes sure that your playbook on defense shrinks, because of his running ability, because of his feet to get out of trouble. So these are the things I think keep coordinators up at night, because now I got to figure out a way to do it my way, but also be safe and protect my own defense.
And I think the thing to me is we talked a lot about his running ability there. The thing that separates him from kind of traditional scrambling or running quarterbacks is he's great from the pocket. His fundamentals in the pocket are great. His footwork's great. His release is nice and tight. His eyes, using them to control safeties, to control underneath coverage players, they're ahead of what people want to give him credit for. So I'm really excited to see that LSU offense was crazy simple. Can he handle this Cliff Kingsbury stuff? And if he can do a good job of that, then he's going to be unstoppable, because the legs, the arm, the vision, all that stuff kind of piles up. You say, man, this guy could be very, very special.
In the end, Adam Peters called this an easy pick for them. He said he was the #1 player on his board. They obviously have a lot of work to do tonight, which we're going to get into in a little bit, with 5 picks in the second and third round coming up when the draft starts tonight. Last night I had an opportunity to catch up with the new general manager, Adam Peters, about Jayden Peters and what is ahead. What brought you to the decision to make the pick at him at #2?
Almost everything. You know, really everything. Everything he's done on the field, off the field. He's, you know, I don't even know where to start. You know, you start with, you know, the road he's traveled, the adversity he's been through, the adversity he's come out of to become a Heisman Trophy winner. He plays the position as well as anyone in the draft. Plus, he can run better than anyone in the draft. So. And then getting to know him, getting to understand the person that he is, talking to his coaches, and you go all the way back to high school. You go into Arizona State with Herm Edwards, and you go to LSU, Brian Kelly. You go to talk to all the staffers. His personal quarterbacks coach. Everything everybody says about him is just exemplary, and we just. You know, we're just thrilled to have him.
You know, over the past few months, we've been hearing a lot about his work ethic. Getting kicked out of the building by coaches, he's working too much, all the video work that he was doing, the Oculus work he was doing. What did you learn about his work ethic through this process?
He's second to none. Second to none. Those things are the things you look for. The calling meetings at 5 a.m. in the morning, bringing his teammates with him, staying late, wanting to get better, wanting to find every little edge, doing all the VR work that you just spoke about. Those are things you want. Those are things you want in any position, especially a quarterback. And he doesn't do it so everybody knows that he does it to get better. You know.
And you and Coach Quinn have talked a lot about character as important aspects of players that you want to bring in here. What did you learn about the character of Jayden Daniels through all of this process as well?
Yeah, he's as consistent as they come in terms of just consistent every day, even keeled, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's incredible off the field, doesn't You know, he's clean as can be in terms of just being off the field, and he's a really mature, smart person who treats everybody very well, and his teammates love him.
Nobody knew what you guys were going to do, which is amazing because I think everybody knew what Chicago was going to do at number one. And so once you got to this point, can you kind of take me through the process and getting to the final decision to select Daniels?
Yeah, I think, you know, we try to be process driven in everything we do. So we go through the whole process, see everybody, see all the quarterbacks, but throughout the whole time, you know, it was really easy to fall in love with Jayden right from the beginning. And from the first time I watched him, I couldn't believe how good he was. And then watching him more and more and more, he would do different things. At every game, he would do something that would just blow you away. And so everybody came to the decision, but I think everybody came to this decision individually. It wasn't any group thing, and it was unanimous in the building.
You can see the full interview on Commanders.com or the Commanders YouTube channel. Here's the work that is ahead for Adam Peters in the front office tonight. 5 picks tonight. That's the most in the NFL of any team. Picks 36 and 40, so at the top of round 2, and then 3 in the third round. Pick 67, pick 78, and pick 100. A lot of work to do as we send it back to Detroit with Brian Santana and B. Mitch.
Great to hear from those guys in studio. And you heard it, 2 second-round picks. Now, B. Mitch, last night you made a great point. There's value in that second round. Everybody wants those first rounders, but there's value and there's starters in that second round. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, people get caught up in the round of where you're picked. Tanner mentioned last night there are a lot of second and third rounders that are Hall of Famers. There are a lot of undrafted players that became Hall of Famers.
Straight up.
There are a lot of 12th rounders when I was playing, 15 before I started playing, and then right now 7th. But there are guys left in this draft that can end up being some great players. Yeah. And I think the ultimate thing comes down to, and I'm sure you agree, a lot of players work hard as they can to get drafted, then they coast.
Yeah.
When the other guy works hard to get drafted just to get an opportunity, then he continues to work. We watched guys go to colleges and they were 5-star. The other guy was a 2-star. By the end of 4 years, that 2-star is the guy getting drafted high, and that 5-star don't even get drafted. So the ultimate thing right now is, Adam Peters made the comment that once certain guys left, the guys they had a first-round grade on, they were gone. We're not going to make a move just to go back into the first round and draft the guy we have a second-round grade on because we have 2 picks early. So if they get both 2 picks, if they get 2 tackles that has high second-round grades, you have 2 chances of somebody becoming great. Not just 1. So I'm happy about it, and I'm happy that they didn't allow themselves to get swayed to move up just because everybody else was making moves and draft somebody that wasn't worth it.
Fellas, 5 picks tonight. We know we want offensive line. We know that. But outside of that, Tanner, what are some other positions of need that we can fill tonight?
Tight end, defensive back. I think you need a corner. I think we definitely need a young tight end that could come in here and be more than just a pass catcher, be a guy that can block, do both. I think those 2 stand out more than anything. I think, you know, when it comes down to it, when you asked me last night, it was all about the offensive tackle position. I think that's number 1. But then I don't know how to slot them. You can slot them any way you want to, but I would believe cornerback will probably be next, and then, hey, you probably shoot for a tight end. But like we said also, if you get a receiver that we had a high grade on that's left, that's around one of your picks, you got to grab them. You got to take advantage of these guys. Because I think, you know, we talked about so much value in these later picks, man. You don't know what these kids are going to, you know, become in this league, you know. But it's all about the opportunity. And when you see guys play on the collegiate level for 4 years, 3 years, and play at the highest and be considered some of the top in their, you know, their game, and they're still around and you have draft picks, you got to take a chance.
D-Mitch, you got any position you think outside of that? I mean,
well, no, I'm with that on those positions. You know, I just want them to get hungry and people, hungry players that are still trying to improve. And not, I want the guy who's pissed off that he didn't get drafted in the first round. I want the guy that's pissed off that says, well, I know I'm better than that guy. I want him because you know what he's going to do? He's going to work when you don't make him work. That's what I want. I want them to have those guys that when you were talking to them, you found out this guy right here will fight a bear. I want him on my team. Because the guy that was left behind that thought he was that first rounder, and you draft him in the second round, he's going to be thankful that he got an opportunity, and he's going after the guys he thought were better than him. You know, Jamar Chase, I'm going to use this example. Jamar Chase is unbelievable. Was hurt for a long time last year, wasn't he? Tyler Boyd, was he a first rounder?
No.
Bad boy, though.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those guys don't become. So you got guys on other teams saying, well, damn, I was a second rounder and I'm always healthy. I might be as good as he is.
Yeah.
I want that mindset from my guys. I want the guys that believe in themselves. You know, I don't want the guy that says, well, I didn't get drafted in the first round. Well, you know, I'm mad now. And he just quits. Don't even draft him. Send him home.
And speaking of that mindset, that's something that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn have spoken on about the kind of guys that they want. They're drafting. The reason why they didn't, sweat last night when it came down to stepping back up and trying to, do what all us wanted them to do, get back into the first round, because they don't care if that guy's not there that have the mentality, and Quinn been saying it, dog mentality.
Yeah.
If he's not there, then they're not going to sweat on that guy. They're going to wait till that guy is there when they have their pick. So best believe these guys are making sure that they do their due diligence, and they're going to pick the right kind of guys that's going to be able to come in here, because, Joe said it the first day. Everybody's not meant for the way we're going to play football. And that's what I love to hear. You know what I mean? That's what I want to hear. It ain't country club no more, baby.
Yes, sir.
You better come with your hard hat on. You know what I mean?
The people that listen to football and listen to radio is not ready for certain nonsense. Believe me.
Well, listen, we got to expect that an offensive lineman, maybe two, will be selected tonight. So let's talk about that a little bit. Who are guys that you still see on that board, Tanner, that you like and that you think would be a great fit in Washington?
Me and B. Mitch were talking earlier on his show on 106.7 The Fan. And the first name that came to mind, there's plenty of guys out there. But I was surprised when I saw Patrick Paul still available. Knowing that we have his brother, Chris, Paul is great at the left tackle position.
Yes.
He's a guy that, he needs some improvement here and there in the run game, but the passing game is what we need the most.
Yes.
And we can teach him all the other stuff, because I'm pretty sure if you're a guy that's, getting drafted or available to be, selected, these coaches, that's why we have coaches that go out there and push it to the test, push it to the wire. Another guy that stands out, I don't want to mess his name up, Kingsley Akuna Matata. Now I'm messing with Suda Matata, right? Suda Matata.
Thanks, producer Jason.
I wanted to be funny with it because I knew I was going to mess it up. No, another great tackle. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about tackles right now, and that's what we need. You know what I mean? So those two guys right now stands out on my list. But like I said, it's so many other guys that you never know who they can go out there and grab at.
Those guys are there, the same guys. But, like for me, it's not about what I think normally. I saw reaching out to guys, and I'm going to just say, Lamont Jordan, you know him. Lamont is a dude who watched film. When he say he watched film, I believe him because he actually watched film, and he spoke about those two guys. And Lamont sends me stuff all the time. We have conversations on text, and when you start looking back at those guys, hey, I don't know if they necessarily get the first round grade high, but they could be a back first round guy, and you get him in the second round. What difference does it make? The whole thing about it is you still want the guy who's going to be willing to work and get better. And I believe that both Paul and Matata, say it like that, Mataya, those two guys have the ability to be able to go into a team and make an immediate impact. The whole thing about it is they call me Brian Mitchell my first time I scored a touchdown. That wasn't my name. They learned how to say it.
Mitchell's such an easy name to say.
And I was saying for the same young man, we will be saying your name right if you come here and you block for us on a regular basis.
Amen to that. And whoever we add, we'll actually be joining some studs. And one of those studs is Sam Cosmi. Now, Sam Cosmi is a second rounder, and I think that there's a lot of value in that second round. A nasty second rounder. We got a few nasty second rounders. Let's take a look at the second rounders that we've had in the last few years. Now, Quan Martin in 2023. Versatile defensive back out of Illinois. Then we got Ferdarian Mathis, defensive tackle out of Alabama. Fortunately faced an injury at sideline, but we expect some good things from him. That was in 2022. And then, of course, in 2021, Sam Cosmi, the big man out of Texas. And boy, he is a dog. And those are the type of people we are looking to try to add to our roster. Now, let's send it over to some great guys on the Command Center roster out in the studio.
Second round pick? right?
Yeah, most definitely.
That's right.
The best second-round pick of all time for the franchise.
The first round.
No, I'm supposed to be a first round, but they took Rod Gardner instead.
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right. So the obviously tackle was something that we thought the team might try to trade back in and get. Did not occur last night. They have 2 picks here in the top 8 here of the second round. It's an obvious target, right? However, there might be better talent at other positions. So how are you thinking about it?
I mean, I think at 36, like when tackle's obviously an area of need, and there's some really good football players: Kingsley Sumatia, Patrick Paul, Roger Rosengarten from UW. Like those are really good guys that could possibly start for you left. I don't think you mess around with it, right? I think as much as you like Ladd McConkey as just a hypothetical, for example, you just say we got a need. Let's address that with make our pick of the 3 guys. Let's not mess around and maybe get a guy we don't love at 40, for example.
Like they used to say in the 80s, where's the beef?
Where's the beef?
Where is the beef? I want the big boys. The second round is where I think it's still depth like there, like you said, but I don't know how long it's gonna be there. That's why I say at 36, you're gonna have to find your guy. You have to get your guy. Now with the second pick, that 40th pick in the second round, now you can go find your athlete at linebacker, wide receiver, cornerback, whatever you want. Now then, it's best player available.
Yeah.
I try not to overcomplicate things. When you think about football, 3 most important positions on the field: your quarterback, a pass rushing defensive end, and your left tackle. Those are the 3 most important positions on your football team. We got pass rushers, we got our quarterback. We need to go get a left tackle. You don't mess around. You got an opportunity at 36, and maybe you might even want to move up a little bit to ensure you get whoever your top guy is on your board available. You got a franchise quarterback. Don't mess around with this. Even if he's not ready to start day 1, you got to get a guy that you love at that position.
And I have to hedge because I'm a hedger. I'm a classic hedger, right? If you have a better evaluation on a different player, go for it. Because everyone thinks every need has to be addressed in the draft. We still have that 3rd wave of free agency where you could potentially do that and kind of push this off to next year. I know that makes you nervous, Sledge. I know. It doesn't work, but that's a good team building philosophy.
What was interesting last night is at the end of the first round, the 49ers take a wide receiver. They don't need a wide receiver. They have good wide receivers. Here's Ladd McConkey. That is a really interesting draft pick who's a really high-end talent. And all of a sudden you look at this and you go, when there's needs, you think edge, tackle, tight end, corner. You don't think wide receiver, but he might be the best player on the board.
I'll tell you like this. It's hard to complete passes with your quarterback when he's on the back. It's hard to complete passes. You have to secure your left tackle position. That's first and foremost.
Well, come on, Fletch. We can agree to disagree on this one. At the end of the day, you cannot. We know for a fact Adam Peters won't be able to fix this team in 1 draft. And I think that's what Logan's trying to say. At the end of the day, it's still a long process after this draft where you still can plug and fill in guys. And just because we draft a guy, I hate to say this, but we all know this. Just because we draft a guy don't make him a starter. Just because we draft a guy don't make him a good draft pick.
I didn't say he had to start right now. But
eventually,
develop him. Maybe he doesn't have to start day 1. Maybe it's halfway through the season. He's had an opportunity to develop. Week 8, you put him out there and let him be your left tackle.
Another great way to protect your quarterback is getting receivers that get open quickly because he can get the ball out of his hand, right? So that's one way to do it. I think Jamar Chase is a really good example of that kind of paradigm. Penei Sewell versus Jamar Chase, it's the same paradigm here in the second round.
What happened? Joe Burrow almost died on that field, man.
That's more of a
he took a beating that first year.
That's more of a play style thing.
I'm going to say that was more of not playing inside of the offense, and what happens when you get outside of the offense, you usually get hurt.
I can't wait to see what happened today.
Let's talk about
I can't wait to see what happens at 36.
Let's talk about another scenario, probably for 40. You think about the needs. You think a tackle could happen, a tight end could happen. There's a lot of good ones available there. An edge rusher seems to be a need. Corner is a need, and all of a sudden it seemed to slip in the priority list. But there are good options at that position.
I love Cooper DeJean. Let's start there. All right, no, and I know Kool-Aid McCaskey out there, and that's the guy everybody gonna say, grab Kool-Aid. But when I get Cooper, I get this. I get a return man. I get a guy that can play inside. I get a guy that can play outside. I get a guy that can play safety. I get a guy that can be a gunner if I need it. I got a guy that can pretty much do 4 or 5 jobs, and that's what I'm looking for. Like they always talk about roster flexibility. Well, like if you bring a guy here like that, And then he's young as this guy is. I think he brings a little bit more than the other guys that's still on the board, personally.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper DeJean's an outstanding football player, but I always wonder if he's kind of redundant with a guy like Quan Martin hanging out here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, you got Kool-Aid, you got TJ Tampa, you've got other guys that maybe fill in. Max Milton is a great example, right? Sanders still, maybe inside, outside, some flexibility there. Yeah. So that's what I would say about Cooper. I think to me, he's a safety. He's the highest safety on my board. Excellent football player, but is he redundant here? Maybe, but if he's the best player on your board, maybe that's the direction you got to go.
I might draft 2 tackles. One at 36, offensive tackle. One at 36 and one at 40. You talk about team building.
Yeah, if you haven't learned this about London yet, he likes to be right. So we'll find.
Hey,
yeah.
Listen, I know you talk about fat boys. Yeah. The trenches. Get your trenches right. Yeah. And then everything else will come into fruition.
We're going to send the guys over to the film room. Let's take a look at Logan's best players available and see how many fat guys have made the list of that one. There's your guy Kingsley, the BYU tackle. Center Jackson Powers Johnson, considering that money was already spent at center with Tyler Biotish, that feels like an unlikely selection, but who knows? Mike Sanderson, who you brought up, Kool-Aid McKittrick, you see a couple of corners there. There's Ladd McConkey, Cooper DeJean, we'll see. And then if they are going to go linebacker, and they have spent some money there as well with Frankie Louvu and bringing Bobby Wagner in, Edgerrin Cooper is available.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's take a look at some of these guys real quick, Fletch, because I think it's always fun to see them in live and in living color. So let's talk about edges. We didn't talk about edges on there, and this is a guy that almost made my top 10 list, and that's Chris Braswell. He's a guy from Alabama, and the thing I like about him, he's not the fastest or the strongest, but he's a football player, Fletch. He plays hard all the time, every single down, and he's got some good power to his rush and can create, and he can play off ball and on the ball.
Well, you also see that in football intelligence where he doesn't just run past the quarterback. He does. Once the quarterback steps up, he retraces the step, and he's able to get back to him. I love football intelligence.
Yeah, and he played a lot of football at Alabama, and that's what happens when you get football players that play a lot. Another guy, Fred, this guy I think is pretty good here, right, is this TJ Tampa right here.
He is.
His ability, the length, the ability to track the football, getting that nice trail technique, and the thing that I love about him is he's tall, long arms, and can make plays on the football.
Way to get in that hip pocket right there and find the ball. Like, that's the one thing about DBs. A lot of people break the ball up, but we need a guy that gets the ball back, and he's one of those guys.
Man, look at them arms on it. Like he's scratching his knee.
He's down there real deep with these arms. But so these are the types of talents we're talking about. Then we talk about the beef, right? Yeah. And we got our guy Kingsley Sumatai.
What we call him?
The beef? No,
fat guys. Big guys.
This is not a normal fat guy, man. This is a 5-star recruit. He's 6'5", he's 315, and he is a dancing bear. This is a GT pull here. Watch this guy get around the corner, square his shoulders now, sink the hips, and clear that hole up, right? Yeah. This is a special, he is raw as all get out, man. He's going to need some time to develop.
Logan, run that back.
Yeah.
I love the bend. Just watch it and pause it once he makes that contact. Yeah. Look at that bend.
Yeah. He is at the combine, man, watching the move, man, he looks like a basketball player. Yeah. Like, he is a special athlete. So he's a guy that gets you excited, but technical stuff we got to clean up, right? And then we got our guy, and kind of the opposite of that is Roger Rosengarten from UW. Like, he is as technical gets out with outstanding footwork. Look at, I'm never off my pass rush line. I'm in a good position. I'm going to lock this guy up and play the down, right? And then we got beef. You talk about beef? There's not that many people that are beef here. I know we don't need a center, but this is just a good clip. And it's fun to have him on there. Watch our guy, man. This is Jackson Powers Johnson, and watch him get out in front, man. We got to unhook the trailer, and we got to roll. Let's go, man. Let's get out there. Let's get out there and watch him, man.
You don't like that.
This is what we like to see. There's a lot of really good football players at the top of the second round, and a lot of these guys are going to make the Commanders significantly better. You know what I'm saying? So we're stoked, and that's the thing, man. 5 of these guys are going to have the opportunity to join this football team. Right, Bram?
Correct. I got one for you.
Yes.
You know who the famous Redskin was that was the dancing bear?
No.
You know who that is? Ron McDole.
Okay.
Played in the 1970s, known as the Dancing Bear.
1970s.
That's right, the 1970s.
He's older than
87.
He's older than me. All right. So we send it back to Detroit with Brian Santana and B. Mitch.
Always great to see our Command Center family having a good time in the studio. We know that y'all love seeing our guys chop it up in there. And you know what? You can catch us chopping it up all week long because we have a full menu of content on the Commanders YouTube page. We have the Get Loud podcast, which is audio and video on Mondays with Fred Smoot and Michael Jenkins. We have the Command Center podcast with Logan Paulson, Santana Moss, and Fred Smoot. That's on Wednesdays. We have our flagship show, Command Center, on Thursdays. Then, of course, on Fridays, we have Free Agent Fridays. Now, on Command Center, like I said, our flagship show, Santana Moss gave us a little bit of game about how you can find value in receivers in the third round. Let's take a listen.
I'm going to talk about a position that I didn't actually play, so let's go there.
That's football.
Yeah,
Talk
that's it.
to me.
So let's talk about edge rushers, man, because
Yeah.
I think, what we talked about is that Morgan from Arizona could be the guy at that 36 spot. I think there's a lot of really talented edge rushers, maybe in that 40 pick kind of range. You were talking third round, first, second, third round guys. To me, these are all kind of middle of the second round. Maybe third, but middle of the second.
Out of there.
So Chris Braswell from Alabama, man, he's a guy that I don't think anything really jumps out at you from what he does, but just a consistent football player, man. Plays with great power, great energy, and plays at Alabama, right? He knows what it means to be a professional,
High-level
which is
football.
always really exciting when you get that kind of professional. And talking about toughness, right? Dan Quinn talks about toughness all the time, and all these guys I'm going to talk about are tough football players, right? And maybe this guy's maybe the toughest, in my opinion.
He's a monster.
He's a monster. 6'5", 285 pounds, was playing defensive tackle. And they moved him. They moved his position to defensive end at the Senior Bowl. Man, he is getting in this wide nine, denting face masks. And I want guys who dent face masks. I want guys that are going to be a bully. He can rush inside, he can rush outside. And when you look at Dan Quinn and what he did in Dallas, he's moving these guys all over the defensive front, finding matchups. I feel like this is a guy that speaks to toughness, speaks to scheme versatility, and that gets me fired up. And so we're going to look at some of his drills, man. And the thing about him, not the best mover. Doesn't move like the wind necessarily, right? He's a big, heavy-handed guy. He's just a big, bulky dude. I think he moves pretty well. Right? Moves all right for a big man, but that's not his game, right? He is a powerful, explosive dude. Now, watch him hit this bag now, right? Watch him hit this bag. Watch this guy right here. This guy doesn't want to be holding this bag because this guy's about to punch a hole in this thing. Bow! Get out of here. And so I want him doing that to offensive tackles. I want him to do it to guys at Dallas, guys in New York. Make him feel you, right? And so then the other guy I got is another guy that's a little bit of a bully. You like him, I think, quite a bit, Fred. And that's Braylon Trice.
I do.
So they kind of play the same. Like heavy hands, heavy hat, guys that can be aggressive, setting edges, and be physical. Setting a culture of what it means to be a Commander. So I think this guy at 40, maybe, is a good pick for the Commanders. Guys that can make a difference for your defense. And I think all those guys will be there and be able to make plays for this team.
That man, Santana Moss, always giving us that game. Now let's look at our recent third rounders that the Commanders have drafted. 2023, Ricky Stromberg. 2022, Brian Robinson Jr., our big man in the backfield. 2021, we got Benjamin St. Juste and De'Ami Brown. 2020, AG Antonio Gibson, who got paid. And then, of course, 2019, the man, Terry McLaurin. Santana, it was nice hearing you drop all those names and all that game. Do you think we add some offensive weapons today, whether in the second or the third round, to help out Jayden Daniels?
Potentially, I think we might get a skill set guy in the third round. You never know. Tight end wise, more so than a receiver. Who knows if the kid from Florida State moves up, slides up? I don't understand why his draft stock is so low. I think he's a phenomenal talent, tall guy, one of the tallest in the in the game. So hopefully that he's one of those guys that slide up. But I think what jump off the page to me, tight end wide, would be Cade Stover. I believe his name Cade Stover like that. Yeah, he's a great third round potential guy for me. So if we go after that guy, I won't be surprised.
Yeah, I look at in these next two picks, the ones we'll be working on real soon. I think they got to look at the offensive line, but after that, you can go and start looking at other things. Because we've seen on this football team itself, you can find great talent in that third round. If you look at Terry, you look at AG and the things they were capable of doing, they could have been higher. So if you find somebody like that coming up in those next 3 picks after the first 2 we have today, go get them.
A lot of value in these picks that we have, and there's a lot of value in our Commanders family. We want to hear from you. Remember, #RaiseHail. That's HAIL. Leave your comments, leave your questions. We want to hear from you. And, of course, we want to hear from our guys in the studio. They are having a lot of fun over there, so let's send it back to them.
I ain't surprised.
All right, here we are back at Ashford. 3 picks in the third round is what we talked about, what could possibly happen with 36 and 40. Then we'll head into the third round, 2 late picks in the third round as well. I guess we're looking for best available, but we haven't really talked about tight end yet either. I think a young tight end is something that's probably of need here too.
I think this is where you know, you really can see the magic of Adam Peters. Just looking back in his history, what the San Francisco 49ers were able to do with like third-round picks and things like that. Having three picks in that round, this is where I think you'll really see. We'll look back a couple years from now and say, man, that was an excellent pick by him, or excellent 3 picks in this case if we make all 3 selections.
It's funny because the third round kind of been our hot round of late.
For a lot of teams.
Where we found a lot of our talent at. And when you look in the third round, you want to say tight end, Jatavius Sanders from Texas. What I thought we talked about him. You think he's more of a move tight end than a guy that's sitting there on the line of scrimmage. Then the one that I know you love is Theo Johnson from Penn State, who can big dude, 6'5", can get out there, can move. But I think he's a little raw. Everything.
No, I agree.
So I think if you're going to take a chance on the tight end, I think you got to do it in the third. And most people say maybe you're drafting Theo too high, or you drafted Sanders just right. But I think in the third round, that'd be a perfect time to take a chance on the tight end.
I think with tight ends in this draft, I think the 3rd and 4th round are kind of the sweet spot, obviously. And we don't have a 4th round pick, I believe. So obviously you got to kind of make a thought on, you know, maybe Ben Sinnott from Kansas State, kind of this move guy who showed he could block in line at the Senior Bowl. You got Jared Wiley from TCU, who's this 6'6", kind of live 250 that can run around, block in line. Theo Johnson is a little stiff, but has that kind of mauler mentality, can sink and sip some really cool. And I think the tight end class kind of represents the 3rd round in general. You get long, trait-seat corners, right? You got Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, he's 6'4", Cam Hart, 6'4". They kind of fit that mold, and you get dynamic playmakers at receiver that either have some type of personality foible or they aren't perfect for the position. So really interesting group in that 3rd round there.
Let me stay on the idea of traits of players. Do we know what Dan Quinn and Adam Peters are looking for in traits of players to join the Commanders yet?
They always talk about competitive. They're competitive dogs. So you know you want highly competitive players and things like that. Obviously, they want longer defensive players. Seems like that's kind of the one of the traits. You know, I know those two. There was a couple things.
And I also think with them, they are very mentality driven. Cause just talking to Jayden earlier, like they loved his mentality. So I think when they get with these guys, it's more important for them. I think they understand. I've watched you play football. I need to sit and talk to you to understand what makes you tick. And I think that's what's gonna make them get on some of these draft picks.
Yeah, I think there's certain guys that you watch. You know, like Marshawn Nealon, the defensive end from Western Michigan, who just plays like every single play is the last one. That is a Commander's player. Then there's other players like, you know, Johnny Wilson. People talk about him quite a bit. Obviously has the traits that you're looking for, but is the consistent toughness there? I don't know. Now, you take a flyer on the measurables and say, man, we can figure out and get them in a culture where they compete, or do you say, hey, we're prioritizing that competitive dog? And I think that's what they're probably going to do. That's why some of these guys are going to be off their board, I believe.
At what point do you start thinking about position groups? Because like, to your point earlier, you could make a case that they should take 2 offensive linemen in the 2nd and 3rd round. Do you think about a group that way when you're thinking about that?
When you look at the draft, you say, okay, we knew the draft was very heavy on quarterbacks early. What do they see this position being deeper in the draft? Hey, do we wait to the 3rd round to pick a offensive lineman, a second offensive lineman, or a tight end, or do we wait to the 5th round maybe to get a defensive back or something like that? That's what your scouts, your area scouts, and all those other guys do. They evaluate this draft and see, hey, where can we wait? Because this draft is a little bit deeper in these different position groups.
Well, I think a great example is Kieran Amadiji from Yale. You know, he's this guy that's got incredible athletic traits, but played at Yale. So he maybe needs a year to develop. Maybe you draft Roger Rosengartner in the just hypothetically in the 2nd round there, or Patrick Paul, and you take another guy with those traits to develop in the 3rd. In a lot of mock drafts, he seems to fall to that range. And again, you'd get 2 players, and then at 40, you'd get that kind of dynamic, you know, dude at the other position you're looking for.
Well, I think that's why Peters did what he did in the offseason with the free agency, so he wouldn't have to go after one position of a need. I think he wants the best player available, and I think he more want than need.
And they're going to have some needs to fill post the draft as well. There will be a 3rd wave of free agency. There are some really good veteran corners that are sitting out there right now if the need is necessary. All right, so we will get into the rest of the draft later. But let's tell you a little bit about Dan Quinn and what he has built on defense over the last couple of seasons in Dallas, and we saw that up close and personal here. His total defense was just outstanding. This really dates back through his time in Atlanta and Seattle as well. They've been turnover machines. They've been top 10 defenses, Super Bowl champions, Super Bowl participants. He's really put together just an incredible run. And last night, Logan and London had a chance to speak to the head coach.
Coach, man, we are juiced, dude. You got a quarterback. That's always super exciting. What was that process like, and how'd you settle on Jayden at 2?
Well, I think, first off,
it was pretty easy to see the talent play. You know, if you had watched, you know, one of their SEC games from last year or this year, like that was easy. That was the easy part of the evaluation. What I found out probably over the last 2 months is like what a real competitor this guy is. And so you dug back in, you found out all how hard he worked through the offseason, like early meetings with receivers, extra work over the summer, like going to any level to improve. And I think he really showed a lot of his resilience, you know, bouncing back, got injured in a game to come back against Florida and play like the game of his year. So I think those are the traits, you know, that I wanted to see. And those are the traits of the very best players. And so that kind of toughness, that kind of commitment to get better, like that's the stuff that can lift a team.
When you get an opportunity to draft a quarterback that early in the draft, number 2 overall pick, what do you think this means to this franchise for, you know, this area? They've been looking for a franchise quarterback for so long.
Yeah, and I think what the fans and the team will love about him is just like this will, this competitive drive, like he is a real dog. And so like seeing that kind of fight, seeing that kind of play, I think when our friends and our family watch us play, people like Jayden will be the ones say, man, this guy balls out. Like he is tough, he finishes, he goes. And so the more of those guys we get on the team, the better. And so we've added some, and we're going to add some more to it. But I think that's when people see us play, I think they're going to see one hell of a competitor.
And so one thing you said there is like the level of improvement. How important was that to the evaluation with him? Because he just seemed like at every possible step, he found a way to get better.
Yeah, and I think that's like, and both you guys know this, that's like the key to being a really good NFL player, is like going from one spot to the next. And it's easier when you're down lower, and now as you get good to take the next step. So like he was already performing well, you know, the year he went to LSU, to take it up again and go bigger. That's the stuff that I want. They dug deep, found ways to get better, and he'll do it again in the NFL. And like that's just how he is and what he's made of.
This is your first time working with, you know, Adam Peters as a general manager. What was that process like between you guys, and not just with Jayden Daniels, but also just as you're kind of going through this process of identifying the type of players that you want to be a part of the Washington Commanders?
Yeah, well, it started early. Like he was the person who picked me up at the airport. You know, like,
how cool is that, man? That's awesome, man.
Like,
that's
I was
great.
totally blown away. Like as a coach, what are you looking for from a general manager? Like a partner, you know, that's there on the best of days, but as important, there on the hardest days too. And so somebody that wants to, you know, pick you up at 10 o'clock at night on your very first day at the job, like that says a lot about him. And then as we watched tape together and went through things, you could just tell this was a guy that was on it. And so I can like vividly remember being in his office, and we put one of the first games on was of Jayden, and watching him play and his detail, the explanations, what he saw. It was just like going to a master class in scouting. And so it was like, all right. I called my wife that night. I said, I think we picked the right spot.
It's time for Best Seat in the House, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. Fellas, we heard from Dan Quinn, but you know what? We also want to hear from our fans. We talked about hashtag Raise Hell, and we got a question for y'all. Y'all ready?
Let's get it.
All right. This is from @KingSlim22. King Slim. Would you focus on offense or defense with that first, second round pick?
Offensive tackle.
No doubt.
I'm still with that.
Yeah. Offensive tackle. Got to.
Nice and easy, Commanders family. We love hearing from you guys. We love when y'all get to join the fun. But it's not just today where y'all get to have some fun. We have some things planned for y'all this Saturday out at the MGM, the National Harbor Waterfront at 11 a.m. That is Saturday. Now, you can register for free at commanders.com/draft party. You going to be there? I might slide up too, man.
All right.
Tanner, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Tanner doesn't want to commit to anything just yet, but you know what? For one more time,
no, I won't say yes.
Let's send it over to our guys in the studio. Maybe they'll be there too.
All right, let's get some final thoughts here as we get set for round 2, which is about to start here. Commanders will be on the clock very quickly. 36 is their first pick. Second one is 40. Tackle early, that's what you think?
Yeah, you know what? But I'm interested to see who they pick with their first pick. Do they wait to 36, or do they even try to move up a little bit so nobody tries to leap? Yeah, okay. So nobody tries to leapfrog them for a guy that they have.
Everybody knows what they want.
Yeah. I think
go tackle early, and I think after that, it's best athlete available. I think you stockpile your roster and get your roster ready for the future.
You know, it's interesting. You said trade up, and again, I think that's exactly right. You want to make sure you get your guy, but let's say hypothetically, you got Cooper DeJean, you got Ladd McConkey. Maybe another team wants to move up to that spot, and you move back a couple spots and still ensure your guy. Don't get too cute, but maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, if your guy is not there, just because it's a need, you don't overdraft it.
Yeah,
And therefore.
And that's why we brought Adam Peters here, to let him do his thing. Me personally, I'm emotional. I want a fat guy. I want two fat guys.
Glue
right?
everywhere. There's glue.
Right, but when they spend months and months and months putting their draft board together, evaluating all these guys and saying, hey, to your point, Logan, if they have Cooper DeJean up here and the tackle, the next tackle down here, then make your pick.
Go with the best athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a scenario, and I think it's unlikely, but there's a lot of veterans that are being bandied about to be traded.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the mentality of this group, but what do you think about the possibility of using some of this draft capital to bring a veteran in here?
Why not? We open for business. When you open for business, it don't matter how you do it on draft night. I'm here to acquire talent that's either from college or from somebody else's team. And if one of those 3 third-round picks can get me a veteran tackle, why not do that?
Maybe if you're talking about trading, if it's a guy that you have deep, intimate knowledge of that person.
Yes.
Because when you're maybe Brandon but not only that, think about this. You got coaching staffs. On this coaching staff, they've come from all over the NFL. So they have intimate knowledge of these players. So let's just throw out Brandon Ayuk for hypothetically. The quarterback, he's his best friends. He talks to him three or four times a day. Adam Peters knows him well. So if you want to, they know what the 49ers like.
Yeah.
You want a second for Brandon Ayuk? All right.
This is the possibility with all this draft capital. This could be a franchise-altering moment, really, this weekend. From what happened last night with the quarterback that they selected and 5 picks here, they can really change the trajectory of the franchise. So what's a good outcome tonight?
I mean, it's hard to know. Draft is, as Fred
You won't
always
know for
says,
5 years.
you won't know for 5 years. But I think if you could get some guys, again, that kind of meet this physical toughness, this competitive mold, it gives you something to build on. So even if they don't hit in the way you hope they hit, right? Let's say they're just become the left tackle you draft as a swing guy moving forward. He's a cultural piece that kind of says, this is who we want to be, this is what our guys to be doing, and every guy you bring in after that is going to be able to learn from that player. So if you can identify those pieces, which they've seemed to do a great job of, and that's been a priority for them, I think that's a win.
In a single draft, I think we got a starter yesterday. If you can figure out between today and tomorrow to figure out how to get maybe 3.5 starters out of this group, I think you won the draft.
Dude, if 3.5, if you get 3
that's a win.
If you get 3, you are doing backflips.
I don't think you need 5 years. I think you really can tell how good your draft is maybe 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Because by that time, it'll be some third-day draft picks and even some undrafted free agents. Let's not forget about guys like myself. Undrafted free agents where they come in, surprise you, like, man, this guy, I know he's not part of your draft class, so to speak, but he's a rookie and he's panned out for you.
Half the roster's been turned upside down already. Now you got a 9-person draft class that's going to walk in here. This could be a very interesting next few weeks as everybody kind of gets to know one another around here.
Well, that's going to be the thing. How quick can they become a team? The one thing about the NFL, individual players, they win awards, but best teams win championships.
Absolutely.
And the last thing, we got to mention that the great Darrell Green, who his number is going to be retired at some point during the season this year. They haven't named which game yet. Was the 28th overall pick in 1983, became maybe one of the greatest corners in the history of the NFL, Hall of Famer, Mount Rushmore personality here in Washington, and it's a wonderful honor that he's going to get. He's going to introduce one of our second-round picks, and wouldn't that be apropos since we need a corner if he introduced a new corner here in Washington, D.C. Yeah, he just can't wear 28.
Yeah, what a tremendous honor, though, to be, you mentioned Mount Rushmore player, iconic, legendary. I can remember watching the Redskins back then, as a boy in Cleveland, and watching Darrell Green, just how he ran and the play style and so for his number to finally be immortalized. It's well deserved.
And sooner or later we'll get this guy in Canton, and we're going to get Brian Mitchell in Canton too as we send it back to Detroit with Brian Santana and B. Mitch.
You heard them mention Darrell Green. he not only got honored with getting his jersey retired, he found out he'll be getting his jersey retired, but he's also being honored today by announcing a pick. Yeah. Tanner, you've been there before, man. What is it like announcing a pick? That's a pretty cool honor.
Yeah, it's great, man. I remember almost saying, no, I didn't want to do it. You know my anxiety issues.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, it wasn't something hard for me to think about. I thought about it. I said, guess what? Take advantage of this. You know, I mean, this is something that I think I deserve, you know, to be recognized and favored to be able to do that for my team, you know, for the organization. So it was a great honor, and I went out there and I can say I nailed it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And, you know, some people that always nail it are Commanders family. So let's get a couple more questions from #RaisHell. This is more of a this or that type vibe, so we'll do it real quick. So at cornerback, we know we want to take one, right? Mm-hmm. Would you prefer Kool-Aid or Cooper?
We
just talked about this.
And people are going to look at me and say, oh, Tanner, I'm saying Kool-Aid.
Me too.
I like Cooper. Don't get me wrong. I like Cooper. I think Cooper is a versatile guy. He's probably going to play more of a safety position in this league. I think we're looking for more of a guy that's going to fulfill that need of being a cornerback full time. Don't get me wrong. Cooper did his thing at cornerback, but I think in the league going forward, he'll be a safety or a guy that's playing up in the box in a rover position.
Oh, yeah. Kool-Aid. I mean, listen to me. If a guy is thought of to be a guy who's playing corner now, but the thought is he may be a safety, it's something about him that they don't see. They want to see that they want to see in a cornerback. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want a corner with a name like Kool-Aid, you have to have a lot of confidence. We have a guy we call Mouth of the South that works with us. Yeah. And I know he's laughing right now. That dude get burned on one play. He forgot about that play before the play is over, and he's already thinking about what he's going to do to you next play. Yeah. You have to have that mindset. Some guys don't have that. You know, and if you don't have that cornerback mindset, you can't be a corner. So I'll go with Kool-Aid.
And then you think about Kool-Aid, I mean, cut you off. Kool-Aid taught by one of the best DB coaches, you know, in the game. Went to Alabama. All that plays a role. You know what I mean? Those guys, anytime you get an Alabama kid into your organization, man, you're doing good things. So that stands out, too, to me, just knowing where he comes from and the pedigree, you know, that he has.
And you got to imagine a guy like Joe Witt Jr., who's all about the secondary. It's just salivating at the chance to get a guy like Kool-Aid. And you mentioned Fred Smoot. He actually said he would go Cooper. Y'all been agreeing all week until just now.
Hey, Fred, what are you talking about?
So one more. We're going to do one more.
Until Kool-Aid makes a play.
Yeah. And
then he's going to tell us he told us
I told you so.
I know it.
All right, last one. Now, this is receiver now because we did talk about adding some offensive weapons. Would you prefer A.D. Mitchell or Keon Coleman?
Keon Coleman, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, both of those guys are talented. But I think some of the things that I saw from Keon playing at Florida State, being that size, being able to return punts. And I know people are going to look at his 40 time, like, oh, he ran a 4.6 at the combine, or 4.5, whatever you want to call it. But he doesn't play that way, you know what I mean? And that's something that you look at, and I'm not trying to compare him to Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice is one of those guys, ran 4.6, 4.7, and I ain't seen him get caught the whole time he was playing ball. You know, it was crazy. I grew up wanting to be Jerry Rice. That's why I was a 49er fan. And when I look at Keon Coleman, man, I think, you know, his stock probably dropped a little bit because of that 40 time. But his game showed that he can play above the rim. You know what I mean? He goes up and get everything. Yeah. So I want a guy like that, and especially for what we need at receiver. We have a bunch of guys that's pretty much the same height. You need a guy that could come in there and tower over the others and go out there and bring another kind of, you know, skill set to our, to our core.
Keon's a bad man. Well, Blanche Mitchell Sr. told me, Mitchell, you a Mitchell, you can do anything. I got to go with Mitchell because I think a Mitchell can do anything. Nah, listen to me. Keon Coleman has shown what he's capable of. But Mitchell had a great career as well. Mm-hmm. You know, you won't miss with either one of those guys.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it, where you want to get to the point where when you're choosing, both of the guys will make you happy.
Yeah.
Okay? We used to choose where this guy is okay, that guy not that okay, but we choose that guy.
Yeah.
And then we get mad because he can't play. Mm-hmm. Now you have two guys that can actually play, and either one you choose, I think it'll be okay.
I think we'll be okay. 5 picks tonight as of right now, but you know things are constantly changing. Fellas, final thoughts. You know, y'all all sit offensive tackle, so I'm not going to ask for a prediction, but do you think maybe we trade some of these picks and make some moves, or do you think we stay where we're at? I mean, we've seen some people say, go get Ayuk. You know, go get him with one of these picks. What do you guys think is going to happen?
That's stretching. You know, that's reaching.
It's a real reach.
I mean, if you're gonna stand your ground and then go out there and trade the picks yesterday, and why trade today? I want to go get what we have today. So I just feel like you never know. But when you have 5, you have everything at your disposal. So I feel like whatever comes up at that moment, they can make that decision. Mm-hmm. But man, look, when you get one or two of them off the board, then you can make those decisions about let's do something more, just to better the team. But right now, man, we have a good day ahead of ourselves, and I can't wait to see.
For sure.
It looks like I've been seeing this position all day, and I know that 100 pick going to be very, very late. Yeah. So
we're going to be here a long time.
Be honest with you, if they can trade up on that one and get us out here a little sooner, I'll go with that. I'm not worried about who you pick at 100. I'm talking about let's get out of here before 12.
Amen to that. To B. Mitch's point, we're not going anywhere. We will be on. We'll be live as soon as our Commanders are on the clock for all 5 picks, giving you announcements. We'll still have our guys back out in Ashburn, so don't go anywhere. We'll be giving you coverage all day long. We didn't leave here till like 1 a.m. last night, and it's because we love y'all. We know y'all love us back. Until we're on the clock, we'll see y'all then.
I missed dinner for y'all.
We really missed it.
Yes, we did.
I'm still hungry.
We saw a fight, though.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.